Welcome back, folks. Broadcasting from right behind me, the New York Stock Exchange. Always great to be down here on the floor. And people cannot believe what's going on in silver. Trades through 90, and then it trades through 91 to the ounce. That's more than double where the Hunt brothers tried to corner the market. Well, we've got the 411 on that. A bunch of great macro and sports on today's Rebels Edge. Bang. How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing good. I love when you're at one of these floors, John, because you travel so damn much. You're always somewhere. But you know what? It could be the CBOE, could be over there at the New York Stock Exchange. You just never know. But it's a great backdrop always, and it's just kind of fun to see back there. And you know, occasionally see somebody maybe even making a trade.
You might. And again, thanks to our friends here at the New York Stock Exchange. They do a great job. We're going to be doing a special live trading event here at the New York, Pete, in the second quarter, I think, of this year. Oh, nice. So that'll be pretty fun. And if you've never been here on this great floor, folks, you want to sign up as soon as we talk about it and put out the flyer, because it'll sell out like that. It'll sell out so fast you wouldn't believe it. All right, Pete, let's talk a little bit about silver, because, oh my, silver surging past 90 and then 91 because of the peak on Fed bets, as well as, hey, again, inflation not out of control. You know, the numbers we've seen about the economy, Pete, lean pretty strong towards, well, inflation's contained and consumer prices are, you know, pretty darn flat. So are we going to get more cuts sooner than we thought? Maybe. And silver, Pete, look at this. Take a look at the silver chart, because we had unusual activity in a bunch of these names, folks. Look at the SLV just last week. That's last week, folks, 68.70. The SLV, that is. And I put the silver actual futures contract on there just to the right of it, of course. Today, silver trades up through $83 on the SLV, Pete. Anybody that hasn't been part of this has not been listening.
Well, we like to call it I've been calling it the Burl Ives trade, John. You've got silver and gold. I mean, you know, I can see him right now throwing that pick up into the air and hitting the ground and licking it and going, nothing. Well, there is something here, and it's silver. And look at that chart. I can't remember seeing a chart of very many even stocks themselves, John, but particularly in this case, a commodity that's gone up like this thing. I mean, bottom left to upper right, like our old friend used to always say. I would say that that's a lock. And we have been talking about the Burl Ives trade for a long, long time. Gold has been outstanding as well, but I'll tell you, this run in SLV and silver itself, absolutely incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. And we've been on it because the unusual options has helped us stay on top of it. Every day, it seems, we have at least one silver trade. So absolutely amazing, this run, and everything we're looking at right now, it ain't over yet.
Yep. And if you want some of that, folks, all you got to do is scan that QR code when we put them up on the screen, or go to marketrebellion.com/get started. Let's show them, Pete, your VIX, because VXX hit fast and furious yesterday. And take a look at VXX today as it moves up from 26.20 to 27.23. Bang, like that, Pete.
John, how did they know? I mean, honestly, in this particular case, and this is volatility we're talking about here, it's not, Bristol Myers leaked this out a little bit yesterday. No, this is the volatility index and short-term volatility index with the VXX. And absolutely, just look at that spike. And I can tell you this, the options yesterday, John, they had, what was it, 17,000 of them, I think, were trading, right? The January 30 and a half. Anyway, they were about 17 cents, I think, yesterday, right? 17 cents. You know where they are today? 46 cents. I would say that that's a pretty nice result, right? 17 cents on the buy side of 17,000 of these things. And here we are. So we were just talking about this yesterday. At some point, when does this break out? Because we've been stuck in that 14 to 15 and a half for a while. Yeah, we've hit 17. Well, today we actually even briefly got to 18. So we'll see where this goes from here. But as of right now, I'm looking at it as exactly where it is. Well, those things are trading about 46 cents. So pretty nice results out of those unusual option activity in the VXX. And it needed to happen quickly. It needed to happen quickly. And I guess, 12 hours is probably underneath that whole thing. Yeah, sure.
And if you're somebody who likes making 100%,
Yeah.
you should be paying attention. You probably should be a subscriber. And if you're somebody who's happy with an annual return, like some of the folks behind us might talk about, 5%, 6%, 7%. Oh, I buy the SPY for my investors. Good for you. Good for you. You're staying almost ahead of inflation with that. All right,
So
Pete, I'll get serious now because this is serious. The prediction exchanges, I like when we see stuff on the prediction exchanges. In particular, I like this because the odds of the totalitarian leader of Iran being out by the end of January have spiked yet again. As you can see, it's a 67% chance right now on Polymarket. And man, when you have something, Pete, like all of these millions of people out in the street protesting, and then you have estimates of 12,000 to 20,000 dead because they're killing these people in the streets, folks. These are Iranians that don't want that regime to be out there doing what they're doing and living under this totalitarian rule. So they have to go out in the streets and they're willing to put their lives on the line for it, folks. So this is a real deal. And I'm not saying the Polymarket trade is, oh, yeah, you got to jump on this. I'm saying you should be paying attention to all the peaceful people in Iran that don't want war, that don't want these clowns to continue to be in charge of their country. And as the president said yesterday, and this was one of that bits of volatility, was when the president called for them to rise up. He said, rise up. We'll be there for you. Rise up. And I hope they continue to do it, Pete, but I understand they are putting their lives on the line to do it.
No doubt about that, John. And these predictive markets are classic. I can't wait for your hit today that you're going to be doing later on with Oliver, because I got to tell you, he's going to have something from those predictive markets himself. Yesterday, he had me actually, I was talking to him about actors. And the actor and the best actor that's out there, and potentially, is Chalamet going to get something else after he got the Golden Globes? Is he going to be able to get the Oscar? I mean, there are predictive markets on just about anything you can imagine right now. It's absolutely crazy. It isn't just football and sports or specific this or that. I mean, it's across everything. It's amazing.
Yep, and it's fun too.
It is
predictive exchanges. All right. Well, how about this, Pete? Let's dive into Bank America and Wells Fargo, because we knew when we kick off earnings, it always kicks off with JP Morgan and so forth these days. And Bank America topped analyst expectations. So did Wells Fargo. So did Citigroup, Pete. But, I think it's a little bit about the president saying that he wants to cap interest rates, Pete, on credit cards and things, because they all have them. Citigroup has them. JP Morgan has them. They all have them. And the funky thing is that people on TV have said, well, it's not right. If you cap that, it could be really bad for these guys. Let me see, Pete. For the most part, other than matching up what they do internally, somebody's borrowing money to buy stocks, for instance, or mortgages, and they're able to charge that person and pay the person on the deposit side less. And so they take the scalp there. In addition to that, they borrow money from the Fed, Pete, and then they charge people 27%. It's too much. It should stop. Maybe it should be 6 points over Fed funds rate or something like that. But I'm not crying any big crocodile tears over the folks that are sticking their hands so deep into people's pockets that are basically in a position where they have to put things on credit card and carry it month to month, Pete, because that's just too much. When the Fed funds rates are at 4 and they're charging 27, something's wrong.
I agree with you, John. I absolutely agree with you. And what we're seeing right now is some of these with the earnings, with the, as you said, the kickoff of earnings. And yesterday was JP Morgan. Today it's Citi, it's Bank of America, it's Wells Fargo, it's the whole thing. And are they putting up some pretty good numbers? Actually, I think that they are. I mean, in the overall big picture, there are some really amazing numbers. I mean, Bank of America put up a net interest income up 9.7%, almost $6 billion. And Wells Fargo beat on their earnings. They did miss a little bit on the revenue, but when you look at some of these various numbers, John, by the way, their revenue was still up 4%. It was still up north of $21 billion. So, there's a lot of ways to kind of dissect what exactly we've seen over these last 2 days, yesterday and today, in terms of some of the earnings. They had an incredible run. The banks, the financials, they've had a great run. And I think that run will start again in the not too distant future. I actually think on the pullbacks, and we have to get through this week because we still have Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs and some of the names out there that we're going to hear from. But I think that there might be some great opportunities because we haven't seen many pullbacks, John. And with these pullbacks, I think that could be a great opportunity with some of the financials.
I agree. And like you said, those are formerly investment banks. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Investment banks and prime brokers that are still yet to come. And I imagine some of the consulting that Pete always talks about, that 6 and 7% for putting deals together, that probably looks pretty good on both Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, I think, yeah. Pete. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about TGTX. This is a frequent flyer with us, Pete, because, man, TG Therapeutics moves big time up and down, and their multiple sclerosis therapeutics, basically using monoclonal antibodies, is really just killing it right now, Pete, in a positive way. And that's why the shares were up as much as 10% in the pre-market. Now they've eased a little. It's up, I think, 7% or so right now, but still strong performance. And this one gets volume almost every day, Pete. And yeah, look at that spike in the volume there on the big up move today. That is, folks, institutions buying and some of Pete's shorts getting cooked.
Yeah, those shorts of 16 to 20%, John, are starting to get a little bit of a squeeze, I would say, on this one. And the 10%, I think, will get returns of that 10%. I know it's pulled back off of the initial jump to the upside, but I think it's going to see a little bit more of a bounce than we've already seen today, and at least back up towards that 10% over the next day or two. But, they've got a great pipeline, John, so that's something that's very, very good. They also have this Brimovy that's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity that's in front of them right now. And when you look at this company, it wasn't all that long ago, John, where it was sitting there, one of those that had a PE that was absolutely ridiculous. Well, it's pulled back substantially, and now it's very tolerable to actually look at it and say, all right, well, these guys are a maturing company. Their PE is at the right level, and this is a stock that could go a heck of a lot higher. So I like what we're seeing there, John. Like you said, it has moved. It was up 10%. Now it's up 5 or 6%. But I think this is a company that has plenty of room still to the upside. So I think the opportunity now would be to try to play on these shorts that are there. And by doing so, I think you're going to actually get a little bit more of a hefty boost to the upside when it's all said and done.
Well, let's switch over to maybe a little, Pete, on the, I guess, digital asset side and data centers. Clean Spark, folks. This one basically is out here with this. They were known as, of course, a miner primarily. But then a lot of these miners have figured out that they could also be data centers because they've got the rigs out there. And turns out data centers get a bigger multiple, Pete. Soon, folks, will be able to tell you about a company that Pete and I are involved with, but we won't jump ahead of ourselves just yet. Instead, we'll say, hey, these guys acquired a bunch of more land in Texas, and they're going to be putting out, next level power for their own data centers and maybe for a little extra out there, Pete. And that's why the stock was getting a nice boost of 5 or 6% today.
Yeah, nice boost, like you said, back up and over that 13 level. I mean, take a look at that chart. From the start of the year, look at where it's gone. It's absolutely been on fire, right? A big move to the upside. People pretty excited about what you were just talking about, John. they have acquired almost 500 acres, 447 to be exact, acres in Texas. So unbelievable. They've already been able to get themselves into a position of 300 megawatt demand load that they can actually put out there. That could double once things are all built out to 600. So I say that these guys have moved in the right direction. I think that they're spending in the right places, and I like what they're doing right now, John. It's impressive how much that this whole industry has kind of shifted around a little bit, like you were saying, and what they need is energy, and these guys are going to get it, and it's going to be something that I think that they're not going to regret the fact that they're scooping up this land that they're scooping up right now.
Right. And folks, did we have unusual activity in some of these names? You bet we did. It wasn't just silver. Take a look at Clean Spark here, Pete. Mm-hmm. The stock was $10, like Pete said, beginning of the year. That's the first trading day of the year, folks. Mm-hmm. CLSK was $10.35. Somebody buys 10,000 of the upside calls. Well, where's the stock today? Oh, it's only up about what, Pete? 30% from there? Yeah. So let's do this. If you bought 10,000 shares at $10, that's a $100,000 investment. And congratulations, you turned that $100,000 investment, 10,000 shares, moving up $3. I know you guys can do the math. That's $30,000. How did you do on this one, Pete? If you bought at the money calls, because that's what Pete and that's what we do. We don't buy way out of the money calls. We buy at the money calls. Mm-hmm. Well, those calls, the 10 calls would have gone up dramatically. Mm-hmm. You would have had a lot less money on the table, and yet you would have made more money than the guy that or gal that put $100,000 on the table. Yeah. So if you're talking about, maybe putting $1.20 or so on the line, Pete, that's $120 for each option. 10 of them would be $1,200. A 10,000 share control would be $12,000. And where did that go? So what would you rather do? Put 100,000 in and make $30,000, or would you rather have $12,000 in, basically 1/8 of how much people put into the stock and get more money than the guys that put $100,000 in? That's the power of options, folks. That's why we say it's not an option to just trade stocks. You shouldn't just trade stocks, but you need to learn about them and understand risks for sure.
That's true. Yep.
All right, Pete, what about this one? TCOM, TCOM, trip.com. There's so many of these travel sites, Pete. I mean, how do you stay up with them? But these guys didn't get good news today. They got bad news. China's investigating them. And an investigation by China into TCOM has shares moving to the downside rather quickly so far today. And is it a long-term bad thing? Well, if they investigated them and basically either fined them or blocked them in China, that would be a bad thing. But right now, we'll just keep an eye on it and say, well, if you always wanted to be in a travel site, you're getting a chance for a much cheaper entry today because of this China investigation, Pete.
Yeah, and it all comes down to, what did they do? Did they do what they're being accused of doing, right? And I think, obviously time will tell. We don't have any answers for that. But you know what? They did show that they had a lot of growth. They did show all these various things that they potentially could be. And by the way, they're going to give their results, but their results don't come back as far as Q4, John, until we get into March. So it's going to be a little bit of a wait, but certainly the stock taking a pretty substantial hit to the downside today. I mean, it's nearly 20% now. It's down 18%. So is it taking it for all the right reasons? I would say so, because this is a bit of a bad situation that has suddenly this investigation that's coming. So because of that, I think this is one of those where I would step back for a little while. You have until March before they release some of the details on what they actually are doing. But this is something where when you're dealing with China and you're having to wait on this antitrust probe, this is one that for now, for me, I would just be hands off and maybe take a look at it again once we get to March.
All right. Well, again, we know you guys love these videos, and I'm sure my Packer fans, I'm going to give you a warning, folks, a trigger warning. If you're a Packer fan, turn it off. Turn it off, or at least walk away. Walk away for a little bit. This is going to run about a minute. So Rich Eisen breaking down Caleb Williams. And again, there are a whole lot of people, Pete, up there with their cheese heads and everything else that don't like Caleb at all and don't want to hear anything about Bears for at least a year.
After games 1 and 2, how could this one be any better? It started with 3 straight touchdowns for the Packers, and it ended with 3 possessions, 3 straight touchdowns for the Bears. The Packers came out and hit the Bears right in the mouth, and it was dead quiet. Then the Packers offense went to sleep. Now, the Bears, during that time, they didn't put up a single touchdown. They put up a field goal. They put up another field goal, and in between, an interception, because wait for it, the Bears and Ben Johnson went for it on 4th down. Ben Johnson went for it on 4th down so many times and in his own end of the field that somewhere Dan Campbell was sitting at home going, I don't even get that.
Wow.
And it was a 15-point deficit this time entering the 4th quarter, and then it happened again. I don't know what's going on, but there's a new one-armed man in Chicago, and his name is Caleb Williams. 7 times that this guy comes back at the end of a game and comes out with a win for the Chicago Bears. This is the stuff that Bears fans will be talking about for the rest of their days, regardless of what the Bears do. 5:37 to go. 4th and 8. He leaps in the air, okay, and has his right arm in such a way that it does look like the Jordan jump man.
It sure did.
And he somehow, without the benefit of gravity, has the innate athletic prowess to be able to get enough on the football to find Rome Odunze. This thing had some zip to it to the point where it gets over the defense right to Odunze as he's arriving on the spot. Caleb led Odunze, one of the greatest 4th and 8s I've ever seen. Jordan Love had 4 touchdown passes and no interceptions. That is a stat line that wins football games, certainly in the playoffs. And the Bears are now hosting a divisional round game against the Rams. Holy crap. And Bears fans are thinking, why not us? How about this? Good luck to the rest of the NFC West. Because the final 4 in the NFC are 3 from the West and the Chicago freaking Bears. After
Chicago freaking Bears.
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 Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great summation of how it all played out, though, John. It really was. It was special. And by the way, for the people who don't know, when you're a quarterback and you're running and you're a right-hander and you're running to your left, that's a hell of a tough throw. It's one thing going to the right side and you're a right-handed quarterback, but that was a tough throw. So he was right. I mean, and he still had something on it, John, when he threw that ball downfield. So, you know, kudos to him for improving as much as he has this year. You got to give a heck of a lot of credit to the head coach and what they did in the offseason and during the season and how they coached the game. They talked about all these 4th down conversions and everything. That's just the way those Detroit coaches are trained, right? I mean, that's the Dan Campbell way. So you go for it on 4th down. All right, John. Speaking of coaches and historic and all the rest of it, how about Mike Tomlin, who stepped down just yesterday? So they had their final meeting and all the rest of that, and there was some disappointment there, obviously. But how about this? He had a 19-year run. He never once had a losing season. Tomlin, they beat the Texans beat him by, 30-6, unfortunately. So that's going to be sticking in his craw for a little while, probably. He probably can't be too pleased about that. You know, he's only 53 years old. You know where he started? Minnesota Vikings. And they gave him the opportunity to go out there and put his name in there for the job, or they at least said that he could talk to them, and they loved him, John. They absolutely loved him, thought he was unbelievable. He's made the playoffs 13 times. The one bad thing is this: in the last 9 postseasons, he hasn't won a game in the postseason. So that's a little bit of an issue. But all that being said, you and I got a little bit of a tie because I was lucky enough. I lived in a town in Chicago with JY, James Young, and he's from Styx. And by the way, Renegade is what everybody in Pittsburgh plays that song, John, whether it's baseball or football or whatever. That has been adopted by those guys. It's really classic. And I'll tell you, JY from Styx is just one of the classic characters of all time. And I'll tell you, does Tomlin, is he going to walk away for good? I think he actually might stay out for 1 year, John, and then maybe decide, you know what, I'm going to get back into coaching. But whatever he does, he had an unbelievable career there. And when you look at the three coaches since 1969 for the team there in Pittsburgh, it's amazing, right? I mean, when you look at all these other factories and they go through head coaches every single year. Look at the Jets, look at the Giants, look at a lot of these different teams.
Look at the Bears.
The Bears included. But pretty amazing. So what do you think about Tomlin at 53? He's not going to be done coaching, do you think? Or what do you think he ends up doing?
I think your call is very accurate. Could he go and do television, for instance? Mm-hmm. And I mean, of course, a big network, whether it's Fox or CBS, Paramount or whatever. I would think, Pete, that he might do that for a year or two, but the money's going to be stupid offered to him, not for being a color guy on TV. He'll be great at it, I think, because I've heard some of his press conferences and things. But I think overall, the money and the high of being a coach is going to be too magnetic for him. He's going to go back. He might not leave at all. He might just look at the guys that are available right now, Pete. From Harbaugh and this guy and Stefanski. I mean, those are three great coaches. Stefanski is, I think, a 2-time coach of the year, Pete. And he's out there. Harbaugh, coach of the year, Super Bowl winner. He's out there. Tomlin, Super Bowl winner, and so forth. How do you not? But yeah, as far as Mike Tomlin, great man, great legacy that he leaves in Pittsburgh. And I doubt if his story is over, Pete.
And if he were to take on the head coaching job again, is why I think we might even see a few more openings around the NFL right now, John, if they think that they've got a shot and they maybe can talk to him a little bit about would he do it. You know what? There's already 9 available slots. There might be 10. There might be more. I mean, which is amazing, really, when you think about it. Anyway, so that's pretty fun. I thought we could maybe break down a little bit, John, about what's going on right now in the NFL. And we've got the playoffs, of course. And so the first one, the Saturday games, we can talk about the Sunday games maybe tomorrow. We'll just quickly talk about the Saturday games. You've got Buffalo going against Denver. Buffalo, for all the flack that they seem to get, John, they've won 5 of the last 6. They lost by 1 point to the Eagles. They've been averaging over 31 points per game on the offensive side of it. Not so bad. They put up 27 points against Jacksonville, who had one of the best defenses in the entire NFL. I don't know. Buffalo is – I don't think that they're like going to get walked over by Denver, but Denver's damn good because they got a great defense. They're holding people to 18 points a game. They've got, a defense that stops people in total yards. They got a defense that holds people to running for 90 yards. So when you really look at that, what do you think about that game? How do you break it down? Does Denver – as good as Denver is, they've got a loss or two. It's not like they went undefeated. But what do you think about that game? Do you think Denver's got them, or do you think Buffalo might surprise them with whatever Josh Allen can do?
Yeah, I mean, if you give me Josh Allen, Pete, that's why playing in Denver at altitude, they are giving 1.5 to Denver, playing at the Broncos at Mile High. So that tells you a lot about Josh Allen to me, Pete. Denver, should they win? Yes, they should. But that's a monumental lift for a young quarterback, Bo Nix. He's never been on this stage before, Pete. Right. So has he played fabulous all year? Yes, he has. The over-under for this one's 45.5. So in other words, they're looking at more or less a defensive struggle, Pete.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Buffalo's averaging 31. I don't think Buffalo's going to be 30 and these guys 15. I think it's going to be a tight game, But I think, again, you put the ball in Josh Allen's hands at the end of any game, and that guy can beat you. So, and it's his big body as well as his arm. So he, you saw that 10-yard tush push, for God's sake. I mean, he's just going to keep grinding with those feet. He's going to drive and all the rest. But that might be a record that never gets broken, Pete, a 10-yard tush push. But so I'm going to say Buffalo because of Josh. Who do you got in San Francisco's at Seattle?
The 49ers are an interesting team. Their defense is bad, but why are they bad? Well, their defense is bad because they've got like 6-7 guys who are players. It's not all starters, but players that do play throughout the game on IR. That's been a problem for them this whole year. And as a matter of fact, some people have an idea, a theory that maybe it's the ground out there where they actually practice and stuff, John. So there's been chat about
EMF.
that. Yeah. So
electromagnetic fields. Yeah. Absolutely.
Is that going to be the reason why? I mean, because they have an inordinate amount of injuries. There's no doubt about that. And they've had them, and they've been everywhere, it seems. Offensive side, offensive line, left tackle, right guard, all those things getting beat up. But, the 49ers never get the credit that they probably deserve because even though the defense is beat up, they've been holding people back. They've won 6 of the last 7 games that they've played. They have a quarterback that doesn't get a lot of, people don't want to say Purdy's good. I'm the first guy out there who's going to say, I think this guy's great. I think he does a great job running with the football. I think he throws it across his body. Does he occasionally have an interception? Yep, he does. And is it a stupid pass sometimes? Sure. He'd say the same thing. But overall, he's a pretty damn good quarterback. But Seattle is so good, John. They can run the ball. They've got 2 guys that can run the ball, and one of them is kind of the grinder who gets all the yards, over 1,000 yards, and the other one is more of a fleet-footed guy who, by the way, has 12 touchdowns, Charbonnet, kid from UCLA. So he's leading with the touchdowns, and meanwhile, Kenny Walker is sitting there with over 1,000 yards rushing. Pretty amazing what these guys have done this year because their defense, John, numero uno. They are absolutely outstanding on defense with Seattle. So they've built something out there that's pretty damn impressive. They're holding people to 17 points a game in the NFL where all of everything is for the offense. And yet these guys have been able to hold teams to 17 points or less. So pretty amazing, pretty amazing. I'm gonna say this. I like my Niners. I love them. But I think Seattle's just too good on both sides of the ball, and they're healthier than the 49ers.
Yeah, I think that's the key, Pete. Their defense is suffocating. If Purdy, who played his face off last week, if Purdy takes the kind of hits that Seattle's capable of delivering, because those big boys up front, oh my. And then you've got of course, the quarterback that everybody thought was done. He's done. Vikings just released him. The quarterback whisperer said, no, we don't need to sign him. We got JJ McCarthy. Well, turns out that this guy might be man of the year.
Yeah, MVP.
Yeah, he is as good as advertised this year. And if they were lucky enough, Pete, that the game, for instance, were being played in San Francisco, I'd give them a little bit more of a chance. But there's a reason they're getting 7. They got to go up to what is it, Pete? The Legion of Boom or whatever they call it up in Seattle. Yeah. I mean, it's so loud. It might almost be as loud as Soldier Field, folks. Instead of people sitting on their hands at Soldier Field now, they stand the whole game. So the old Bear fans, these are not the same Bear fans with this kind of quarterback. But we're talking about Seattle, the Legion of Boom, the sound, the defense, the fact that San Francisco's banged up. I'm taking the Seahawks, Pete, and I do think that this one's about right. 45.5 is probably about right as far as the over/under, and I'd take the under.
Well, and by the way, Seattle, who is ranked number 1 or whatever, they I think they have run something like, I think they've won 12 of the last 13 games that they've played or something like that, John. I mean, so these guys, they are rolling. And you know who they lost to? Somebody else out in the West, the Rams. That was their one loss. So that NFC West, and you and I have talked about it already during this year or whatever, but how good is that? San Francisco, the Rams, and Seattle. I mean, it's unbelievable. And your Bears, you got a shot. I mean, you got the opportunity, but I'll tell you, those teams all have good defenses and they all have good offenses. So it's going to be interesting to see how that whole thing plays out. But in this game, I think Seattle, unfortunately, the 49ers are going to get tripped up a little bit in this one.
Well, remember, folks, we're back at 1 o'clock tomorrow Eastern time, and then we'll break down for you the Houston Texans versus New England, as well as the Rams at my Chicago Bears. Pete, it's going to be fun, and good luck trading today, folks, and we'll see you tomorrow. And by the way, I'll be on with Oliver Rennick, like Pete said already, on the Gamble, as it's known, GAMBOL. Oliver's crazy, folks, but it's a fun conversation. So I'll be on with Oliver today at about 3:15, I think, Pete. Nice. Bang.